7:02. I'm gonna do roll call, and we're gonna start the meeting. And if there's anybody else that is missing, they'll just add themselves when as we continue the meeting. Okay. So I got Luke Chesek.
Here.
Barry Woodall.
I'm here.
Jared Stoffes. Danielle.
Here.
All right. So when Jared comes in, can we please make sure so Valerie, you're here?
Yep.
Do me a favor, Valerie. So we have 4-1. So we could start. I'm calling the meeting to right now, 7:03 p.m. today, Tuesday, November 19th. This is a virtual work session, a scheduled work session for the city of Mount Rainier, Maryland. Valerie, can you please go ahead and read the agenda?
Yep. Agenda for the work session of the Mayor and City Council, City of Mount Rainier, Maryland. Virtual work session, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Items for discussion, call to order. Review of the agenda, number 2. The Mayor and Council will review the agenda for the meeting, adding or deleting topics of interest or discussion. Number 3, Mayor Celina Benitez, on behalf of the City of Mount Rainier's post-election message for residents. Number 4, presentation and discussion on the FY24 audit report, 25 minutes. Mr. Dan Kenny will make a presentation to the Mayor and Council on the FY 2024 audit report. Number 5, presentation and discussion on building application for 3401 Newton Street, Mount Rainier, Maryland, 20712, 10 minutes. The Mayor and Council will have a presentation from the owner of 3401 Newton Street, Mount Rainier. Number 6, presentation and discussion on proposed mural project at Station 3510 Rhode Island Avenue, 20 minutes. The Arts Commission team will present a proposal for a mural project at Station 3510 Rhode Island Avenue to the Mayor and Council. Number 7, presentation and discussion on the 2025 WMATA bus network plan changes, 10 minutes. Councilmember Jared Stoffes will present the 2025 WMATA bus plan network changes to the Mayor and Council. Number 8, proclamation declaring November as Municipal Government Works Month, 10 minutes. Mayor Celina Benitez will present a proclamation for Municipal Government Works Month. Number 9, proclamation of recognition of Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, 10 minutes. Mayor Salinas will present a proclamation proclaiming November 14th as Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day in the city of Mount Rainier. Number 10, presentation of minutes, 5 minutes. The city clerk will present the following minutes to the Mayor and Council. October 15th, 2024, work session. October 29, 2024, legislative meeting. Number 11, adjournment.
Thank you so much. Can you go ahead and also read the upcoming events, Valerie?
Yes, upcoming events. Thanksgiving basket distribution, November 21, 2024, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Police Department Community Room. City's administrative offices closing 2 hours early, November 27, Thanksgiving Day. City administrative offices closed November 28, 29, 2024, Thanksgiving Day and Employee Appreciation Day. Recreation Committee Sweaty Sweater Run, December 7th, 2024, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Breakfast with photo with Santa, December 14th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mount Rainier Nature Center. Holiday basket distribution, December 19th, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Police Department Community Room. City's administrative offices closing 2 hours early, December 24, 2024, Christmas Day. City administrative offices closed December 25th, 2024, Christmas Day.
Thank you so much, Valerie. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next item number 3. And it's Mayor Celina Benitez on behalf of the City of Mount Rainier post-election message to residents. I guess there's no easy way to start this, but I will say to you guys that I know for many residents in the City of Mount Rainier and all over the nation, right? The elections result were not what, we were expecting. And although that's bringing a lot of uncertainty and fears, and many of us have reached out to the elected officials at all levels, including myself, and I've had the chance to speak to many people in more than one language at this rate, right? I want you guys to know a couple of things. One, the city of Mount Rainier will continue being who we are as a city that believes in the environment, a city that believes in working together, a city that believes in uniting each other. I literally just came back from the police department with over 30 people helped put 500 baskets together for our residents. That's who Mount Rainier is. We are very fortunate that we are in the state of Maryland, where at all levels, our governor already gave his message out that they'll continue fighting and they'll continue advocating at all levels, and the agendas are not going to change. They'll continue working with those that have been now are in the executive and the various branches. I've had the opportunity to talk to the chair of the Prince George's County Legislative Committee as well, and they're all will continue fighting and advocating for us at all levels, as well as Congressman Ivy and anybody that you could potentially think of. I'm speaking to you guys today because I know there's fear and know that you're not alone. I think many of us feel that way. I'm very vocal on who I am as a person. I am an Afro-Latina, an immigrant, and I will continue advocating for you as your mayor, no matter what. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that at the federal level, we have the national legal cities who advocates for us. And I just came back from a conference, and we are working together. They have been around for 100 years, and they have worked with every single administration, including the past Trump administration. And they have been working with the teams, both candidates, the DNC and the RNC, when they were going for election. And they're currently working also with the team that's transitioning in. So we have groups that are advocating for us at the federal level, at the state level, and obviously at the local level. And although the agenda will continue, there's various goals that we're going to try to hit. As far as Mount Rainier, we're going to continue being who we are, a welcoming city, a city that cares about one another. I know some residents have petitioned for us to have an in-person meeting, but if I'm talking to several people, they don't feel safe going to those meetings, not because of us, but because of what the outside could potentially bring. So we're going to continue working with them in small conversations, one-on-ones, more than a big open meeting. So I will not be having an open personal meeting on this subject. And I want you guys to respect it because the people that are heavily affected through potential changes that are coming do not want that. They have asked if we could please don't do that. And I want to be respectful of the space that they've asked me to provide that information. Plenty of us attend other meetings. We could make ourselves available and continue pushing through. The other big questions I've asked is when it comes to our staff, our police department, our staff will continue being who they are. A community policing, the staff is available for you as the resident when you need them, regardless of any status. And that's the message we want to continue sending. Things in Mount Rainier will continue moving forward. We have people that will continue advocating, including the mayor and council, and the various things that are needed. But I want you to know that you're not alone. We are doing everything we can, and we have done as much as we can so far to try to connect with the various networks of friends and allies that we have in order to make sure that we're here and available to respond and advocate for all of our residents, and not just Mount Rainier, but in a bigger network when it comes nationwide. So in saying that, the biggest thing we can do to help one another is be there for one another. Some of us have our citizens, some of us are not, right? And in saying that, it'll be one of those things that if it comes out to be able to help one of the fellow citizens, it's we will call upon you to also sign letters, sign petitions, go ahead and advocate for those that might need a little bit more. But I want you guys to be cautious that a lot of people are still in shock. And they might not be reacting the way you think they should be reacting because they're facing what potentially could be, the unknown, right? But I will say to you that at all levels, people are doing as much as they can to keep us together, to advocate and unite us. The city of Mount Rainier will continue doing that. Things don't change for us. We are a green city. We're a city that believes in human rights. We're a city that believes education is important, that supports the public schools, a city that, it is embedded in us who we are. And at the same time, whether you've been in Mount Rainier 1 day or 100 years, you still Mount Rainier, we're going to continue to follow through with that. So if you guys need help and resources, we do have resources available. If you need any support, we also have that as well. And know that we are going to be here to support you in any way we possibly can. All right. So in saying that, I will say to you that Mount Rainier is a very special place. So is Maryland. We are very fortunate to be living in a state and in a city that it's very aligned with the values of who we are. And we'll continue working at that. And no matter who you voted or supported for, you're still my Rainier, and we'll continue like working cohesively together. And I will end it with that. And if you need to reach me, you could reach me in at least 2 languages. The other 2 I'm not very good at, although I did work on talking to some people in other languages. But I'm available if you need to speak to me. And thank you for everybody that has reached and has interested in me, the questions that they have, and have felt a little bit better after speaking to me. And those that are still feeling a certain way, I'm available when you're ready to speak, and if you're not ready as well. But in saying that, Mount Rainier will continue being true to its values. The whole team is available to you, just like they were yesterday, just like they will continue being. With no disregard of what it is. We are a welcoming city. We're a city that believes in their residents, and we're a city that loves who we are and will continue being who we are. And we'll continue advocating and making sure that our voices are heard at all levels. And I want you to understand also that I do volunteer as well as other members of the council. We're various networks, both in Prince George's County, the state, but also on national level. And there's various plans that have been developed in order to make sure we continue moving forward and continue to make sure we work as much as we can with this administration and push back when that needs to happen. But in every effort, try to work in communicating the agenda for the agenda to keep moving forward. All right, so I'll leave it with that, and just want to make sure to reassure you guys that we're here for you, and Mount Rainier will continue being the welcoming city that we are. That doesn't change us. That's who we are. And Governor Westmore has put a beautiful statement out on who we are as a state, and the various elected officials are coming around and putting something out. We just want to make sure you understand that we're also human, and we're also dealing with how we're feeling about what's going on, but at the same time, we haven't stopped working. And the work has been going on before the elections and even post-elections. Actually, just arrived here yesterday. And I was at 10 o'clock celebrating Joe's and their big accomplishment that we had. And like I said, we just came back from putting 500 baskets of food together. So things will continue to moving along, but please be aware that we're going to continue advocating for you at all levels. And sometimes the messages will have to switch in wording, but economic resilience will continue being there because it's important for us. The human rights and who we are as our residents will continue to be there, and that doesn't change. And I look forward to hearing from you in the various small pocket meetings that we're going to have and in the various circles that we'll meet each other. Okay? Thank you guys so much for this. All right, moving on to item number 4. Presentation discussion, the FY24 audit report from Mr. Dan Kenny, who will make a presentation to the mayor and council on the FY24 audit report. Mr. Kenny, hello, thank you for joining us. And we're happy to say this is the 3rd year that we have submitted our audit, and this time we submitted it a day ahead of time, which means that the times where audits in Mount Rainier were not submitted are far away gone. We have actually a streak. A streak is usually more than 2, so we have landed on our 3rd one, and we look forward to hearing from you the information and also any questions that our council might have. Also, big thank you to Mr. Ron Wilson, Natalie as well, Natalie Sam, who's part of the finance team, and obviously our city manager, Mr. Kamali, and other departments for providing all the information that is required for our finance team to be able to submit it to the auditors to get what we need. So, Mr. Kenny, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and council members and management and public. Once again, I'm Dan Kenny, partner with Mitchell & Titus, and with me is Wendell Yang, Senior Associate with Mitchell & Titus, here to present the June 30th, 24 City of Mount Rainier financial statements. And Wendell, if you can go ahead and put the financials up, perfect. So we're going to go over 2 documents this evening. We're going to go over certain elements in the financial statement, and then we have an actual presentation for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the independent auditor's report. And this indicates that we've audited the financial statements of the city of Mount Rainier as of and for the year ended June 30, 2024. Our audit was conducted in accordance with two standards: generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And the responsibility of management is for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. If you go to the next page, this is where it talks about our responsibility. And our responsibility hasn't changed with respect to performing the audit. This is a consistent language from the previous year, and it's authoritative language as well. And if you go to the next page, this talks about the required supplementary information, your MD&A, and then your disclosures on pension. And because your audit is conducted in accordance with the government auditing standards, we have to issue the report on internal control. So let's go ahead and go to that internal control report. And I'll give you a little preview about that. So the internal control report, what we do is we actually don't give an opinion on it. But what we do is when we plan and perform our audit, we have to understand the internal control over financial reporting. And so that assists us with designing our test to be able to issue that opinion. And the opinion that you received is an unmodified opinion, used to be known as an unqualified opinion or a clean opinion. Okay, so this report that we just went through, if you can go to the previous page, Gwendolyn. Under the internal control over financial reporting, indicates in the third paragraph that we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we considered to be a material weakness. Okay, so I wanted to point that out, that we didn't note any material weaknesses or any significant deficiencies. And then if you go to the next page, this is where it talks about the report on compliance and other matters. And the last sentence indicates the results of our test disclose no instances of noncompliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. Okay, so that is your financial report. And as you noticed, October 30, congratulations, a day earlier than last year. And like you said, 3 years in a row. So great job. Okay, let's pull up the slide, the presentation. Right. If you go to the table of contents, this is what we're going to go through. The highlights, talk about the team members, fraud consideration, summary of the results, required communications. Okay, and then the highlights basically indicates that it's the scope of services. We already talked about that. We issued the unmodified opinion on the financial statements, and there were no recorded and or unrecorded misstatements during the current year. And on internal control, we went through that. Once again, no material weaknesses were identified. And then non-attest, what this means is, if you recall in the auditor's report, it talked about the responsibility of management. And the responsibility is for the fair presentation of the financials. Well, we actually prepare the financial statements and we're allowed to do so. It is considered a non-attest service, and all we have to do is make sure that we believe management is competent to understand what we're doing, and of course they are. And so we're allowed to do it, but we have to let you know that's a non-attest service and something that we do. We're actually preparing the financial statements. All right, so the next page. So this is where we go through our approach, and we go through the planning session where as soon as the audit is done from the previous year, internally what we do is sort of meet and debrief on what we could do better, etc. And we take notes, and then what we'll do is the beginning of the next year we'll meet with management, go through the planning items with respect to how to get everything, is talk about the timeliness of the audit, some of the timeline, when they want things by. And we really project manage this thing to make sure things hit certain levels as we're going through the audit, because it takes a fair amount of time from the time we start to when we finish on October 30. And then, of course, as a result of that, we customize our approach with respect to, what you guys are, what's happened during the year, et cetera. Continuous communication, we weekly meetings, all the time talking to everyone. And then, of course, when we conclude a report, we also have other people look at the report to make sure the disclosures are accurate and consistent in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. All right, and then the next page. This is the team. Very unusual in public accounting, but you have the same team, which is great. That helped the day. We made another day with that. So hopefully next year we can go a day before. All right. All right. Fraud consideration. So what we do with respect to fraud is it's called SAS 99. It's an auditing standard, and we have to gain an understanding of the entity. And we perform interviews of management, of accounting folks, and also non-accounting folks. And we wanted to let you know that there were no instances of fraud that we noted during the audit. All right, next page. So this is where it goes through and talks about actually what we do. So on the revenue recognition, on cash and investments and receivables, we send out a lot of confirmations. On cash, we test the investment income. We look at your GASB 40 disclosures, and that relates to the fair value of the investment. And there were no exceptions that were identified in any of those areas. And the next page goes through the capital assets and depreciation, accounts payable, accrued wages, and unearned revenue. So capital assets, we're going to test your fixed asset additions. We're going to look at your depreciation and your estimated lives on those additions, not only in the current year, but in previous years. Accounts payable, we're going to take your disbursements basically from July 1 up and through the issuance of a report date to determine if there's anything that should have been reported as of June 30th. And then accrued wages and payroll. Of course, we look at the 941 reports, we tie out the payroll, we do control testing, we select a certain number of individuals and make sure that the pay matches the amount that is authorized. And then on unearned revenue and deferred inflow, we look at particular grant agreements and determine if dollars are received in advance. Should it be recognized as revenue or, included as unearned because an expenditure hasn't been incurred yet? Okay, next page. So the long-term liabilities, we're going to look at your bond outstanding. We confirm that information, look at the principal and interest payments there. Pension liability, what we do there is, of course, we get the state of Maryland information, go through the actuarial reports, identify if there's any change in assumptions, receive the report from the state that is done by an external auditor, go through the calculation for your proportionate share. And then under net position and fund balance, we roll forward the net position fund balance, determine what should be in non-spendable, committed, assigned. And once again, in all three of these areas, there were no exceptions that were identified. Okay, in the next few pages, these are the required communications as the auditor to the board. We discussed in our plan, scope, and timing of the audit. That's in our engagement letter, and we have complied with all ethic requirements regarding independence. And under your significant accounting policies, there weren't any changes. If you go to the next page, the significant accounting estimates, of course, that's in your net pension liability. Your financial statement disclosures are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Once again, we did not identify any actual or suspected instances of fraud. We encountered no significant difficulties in dealing with management during the audit. There were no uncorrected or corrected misstatements during the audit, and there were no significant unusual transactions. There were no disagreements with management. We received a representation letter from management. There were no consultations with other accountants, and there were no other significant matters, findings, or issues to discuss. You have complied with all, I'm sorry, I should say it differently. There were no instances of non-compliance with laws and regs. Other information in the documents containing the audited financial statements, that's referenced in the independent auditor's report. And there were no issues with respect to the doubt as to whether or not the entity will be able to continue as a going concern. Okay, and that concludes the presentation. I'd like to thank Mr. Kamali and Mr. Wilson for their assistance during the audit. Very helpful to have them, a consistent team, and they got us the information in a timely and efficient manner.
Thank you so much for the presentation. So I'm going to open the floor to the council, and then I'll circle around to Mr. Kamali if he wants to say a few words as well. Okay? Mr. Kamali is like smiling from year to year, right, Mr. Kamali? I know this was like a heavy lift that we gave you when we hired you. All right, I'm going to start with Luke.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who's involved in this, especially our auditing partners here, but our staff as well. I know Ron, your staff, Melissa, I'm sure you had a role to play in this. Mr. Kamali, your leadership over the last several years. I know I'm missing someone from staff who helped so much.
Natalie.
Natalie, where's Natalie? She's somewhere. So just thank you so much. I remember this has just been a long process. For those of you who don't know, under our prior city managers, we had gotten behind on our audits, and we had a team come in and we had a plan for how to get them done. And it's a testament to kind of putting your head down and just getting through the work. And not creating, there was an elected official at the time, and I'm just going to say this, who was a little bit alarmist about the situation we were in, and was proposing that we shut down everything until we get our audits up to date. I don't know, I guess that means no one would got their trash pickup and no one would have gotten health insurance on staff. We ignored that, and we put our heads down, and there was no quick solution. There was no way to get through this quickly. We had to sort of go through the process and get up to speed. And here we are, up to date and ahead of schedule. And it's just a testament to the work of staff that we have in place right now. And I'm just so thankful for that. And it's also a testament to, as elected officials, not being alarmist when situations arise that can seem from the outside like big problems. It's a testament to remaining calm and figuring out solutions and working through that together as a team. And I just appreciate everybody who had a hand in this, because it wasn't me who helped get the audits, it was staff and our partners and our auditing partners. So just thank you, everyone, and appreciate the update.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah, it's been long years, Luke. Valerie.
Yeah, I just echo what Luke said. I think this is great. I mean, getting audits done on time and doing such a good, complete work of it is really important. So thank you to all the staff. Mr. Kamali, good job. And thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Danielle Jarrett.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I actually remember when the city was way behind an audit. So I was very impressed that when I came on council that catching up was happening. I just got this audit book in my mailbox today, and thank you, Mr. Kamali, for having this put together. I look forward to this. Is going to be my weekend reading. I'm going to do all your hard work justice and read every bit of it. So I do appreciate all the hard work you and all of our staff, of course, have put into this. Thank you so much.
Jared.
Yep. No, I just want to echo everything everyone else said. It's no fun to inherit a situation like this, and that I know was a lot of work to catch up on, and years of being behind audits, especially when you walked into that situation that'd been kind of left over by previous staff. So I just want to thank you for all the work you've done. I know, the audit stuff, it's incredibly important. It's often a little bit behind the scenes, not as flashy, but it's so important for our ability to function as a city and remain competitive and obtain additional future funding. So thank you again for all the work. I just want you to know that I really appreciate it. And you and Mr. Kamali and staff and our consultants here, you really are very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I give the floor to you, Mr. Kamali, I think Luke said it best. I think that we have what has made us successful. This year's has been that we have had a cool, level-headed prevailing. We've had a plan. We have moved with the plan. I think at times might seem slower than if you're the outside, but trust when I said that this team was working like above and beyond anything you could think of to make things happen, right? They didn't just like, it didn't fall out of the sky to get us where we need to be. They had to self-audit us when they were not even in the, when any of us were in the positions that we currently are, and took responsibility like we all did, right? For things that happened before our time in order to make sure that we stood still. But at the end of the day, it's like a plan moves forward and a trust moves forward. And that's what's important for us to always remember. There's work that's being done always, and we need to work on trusting the team that leads in order to make sure we allow them to prevail. You know, when we came in, there was a certain times like a more of like a walkable approach, Luke's favorite words, right? And we have done as much as we can to streamline various procedures and process. And we say we is like, you know, the city manager has come out to us and at times has said like, this is what we need. And we have supported the vision, right? Because we knew at the end of the day what that would look like. So this wasn't something that was done in the last year, 2-3 years, been work in progress. And we thank you guys for establishing the systems that we needed to establish, making sure we follow through with those established and hold ourselves accountable for them. And it takes a team between the lead from the city manager, the staff, and our auditors to make sure that they know like these are the rules to apply. I usually say like, you know, there's not an eraser that is bought in the city of Rainier that Mr. Kamali does not know. And we stick by that. He definitely checks every single line item and he makes sure his team checks it. He rechecks it. And I know like, you know, if we have questions, we also recheck it, but we are very financially stable and financially responsible because of those extra measures that at times people feel like there's things that are happening, but rest assured that they were happening because we wanted to get to this point where having an audit on time is a celebration and not like, oh my God, this is a once in a lifetime shot. So Mr. Kamali, I'm going to cede the floor to you, but please, I want to thank you. Ron, I also said that earlier, and Ali and everybody that's been following through because it takes a team to also follow the leadership to make sure that everything needs to be where they need to be and they know what the process are to make life just a bit easier, though it's still a lot of work for you guys. So thank you guys for that. So Mr. Kamali, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity. I just want to say thank you to my team, including Ron Wilson and the rest of the staff. I can tell right now that I have completed 5 audits in 3 years that I've been the city manager for the city of Mount Rainier. And I appreciate Dan Kenny, because I used to work with Dan in another, company, and now he's with Mitchell Titus. And I do appreciate, Dan and his team. Anytime we have reached to them, they have been very, very responsive. So it's a teamwork. It's not what I did. I just, appreciate the team, my team and Mitchell Titus. And hopefully we're going to stay on the right track. And just for your information, we completed the FY 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And we look forward to be working with Dan and Wendelin. I appreciate your time. You guys been so great, and we look forward to be working with you in the near future.
I suppose you are, Mr. Kamali, also takes leadership to guide us in. You have been a good leader for the team to get us there as well. So please, humbly, at least accept our thank yous. I know you're not much for accepting them, but please, we definitely appreciate all you guys for the work that you do. And Kenny, 100%, I'm glad that a couple years back, we made the decision to switch auditors and we fought to keep you guys, right? And even when there was a move, we fought to make sure the continuum of the city will prevail. And that has made a big difference in getting us there. People that understand our procedures, that are honest in what we need, and also that could collaborate and work with us cohesively. So thank you to everybody. And I look forward to continue and receiving great news when it comes to the audits, because when we started, many people trusted that we knew what we were doing. And they bet on us by giving us grants because we had a plan and they saw we were working, and we demonstrated to them that the audits were moving along and that we were not stopping until getting them. And when the first series of audits started coming in, they realized that, we were focused and determined on a plan and to follow through it. And we continue to show that the trust they also put in us has been beyond many folds that we follow through with it. So it's wonderful to talk to them, and they have also help when it comes to us receiving grant funding, like the 9.7 million, because they know there's a plan, we know how to manage money, and here it is, and everything else that comes along with it. So every penny counts in what we're doing, and we account for everything that we put our money, because it's a taxpayer's dollar, and that's very important to us. All right, team, you don't have to stay, Kenny, but you're welcome to hear the rest of the meeting. If not, take a well-deserved rest for about a second before you start like the next round of audits, right?
There we go.
All right,
All right, well, thank you
And
very much,
Gwendolyn,
everyone.
thank you as well.
Thank
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, so it's great to hear good news. We are moving on to presentation, discussion, and building application for 3401 Newton Street. There council received presentation from the owner of 3401 Newton Street. And we should have also Director Ferrufino, you are here. Can you go ahead and open the floor, please? Alma Ferrufino, are you there? Alma, you're muted right now.
Good
Okay, there you go.
evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager, thank you and residents, thank you for having me here. One more time, actually, I guess I'm used to it, and I'm liking being in almost every meeting for the city. But nonetheless, we're here to do a presentation for a building permit for property 3401 Newton Street. And I do have the owner here, Miss Iris Jacob, who can give you a little bit of description on exactly what is being done with her property. Ms. Jacob, the floor is yours.
Okay, Ms. Iris, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Hi. So we are doing a basement renovation, and adding 2 bedrooms and a bathroom downstairs, and doing underpinning so that can happen.
All right, perfect. Alma, is there anything that we need to be made aware, has to clear the county permits, or where's it in the process right now?
No, so the county has permitted the work already, and everything that she's basically doing is inside the property. So it's nothing being done on the exterior, and everything is set to go. She was just waiting for actually the opportunity to present.
All right, perfect. So I'm gonna pass it to Luke, who has the Brian spiel. I think we just need to quote it like that, Luke, from now on, the Brian spiel. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, Iris, for coming, and thanks for doing work on your property here in Mount Rainier and helping to rehabilitate our homes, the housing stock here. So just reminder, no construction before 8 a.m. or after 8 p.m. If that happens, we get angry calls from neighbors, which means you're going to get a call from the city about that. Please be mindful if you're doing any digging out around the foundation of where that soil goes. It can't go on neighbor's property, and be mindful of creating mounds we have a lot of clay here, of sort of red clay near a sidewalk, where if it rains, you could get a lot of that spilling off into the sidewalk. Be mindful of, if you're doing work around the exterior of the foundation, if there's any trees, large trees, they might be protected. But Alma can talk to you all about our urban tree canopy code, and things you have to watch out for there if trees are of a certain width and diameter. Doesn't sound like that will be a problem here, but want to make sure you're aware of that. And just again, appreciate you coming forward to council, and good luck with all the work.
Perfect. So, council members, anything else to add? If we're good for the good of the order, we're good. It looks like everybody's fine. All right, Iris, thank you for being here. You'll connect with Alma to give you the last permit, and we look forward to the changes running smoothly. And thank you for obviously investing in Mount Rainier. All right, and I'm one of your neighbors, so you know not to do loud noise, because they'll come. But the neighbors will come find me. All right, we'll have a good night. Okay.
Thank
and
you.
as we would say, you're welcome to stay, but if you want to, you're done for your part. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alma, do you have any other item on the agenda, or you're done for today?
No, Mayor, I'm done for today, but I'll stay around.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, now moving on to item number 6. Presentation, discussion, and proposed mural project at Station 3510 Rhode Island Avenue. The wonderful Art Commission will present on proposals for a mural project on Station 3510 Rhode Island Avenue to the mayor and council. So Luke, I'm gonna pass it to you. And I'm trying to see, there's a couple art commissioners I see here. Hi, Art Commissioner. Oh my God, I'm the most precious little one I can see. Okay, so all right, Luke, the floor is yours. See what happens? Got me distracted. Oh, the no
Thank
family
y'all.
over there.
I'm going to turn it directly over to the Arts Commission because they've done all the work. I have done nothing. I haven't even been able to attend their last couple of meetings because of some conflicts I had. And I've got a kid calling me as well. So I'm going to turn it over to John or Deanna. Why don't you guys take it over, or Tessa? Thank you.
Go ahead, the floor is yours. John and Diana, I guess that's the way the mic's open. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I'm John Diamond from the Arts Commission, and Deanna and Tesla are both here. I'll be presenting and they will chime in with any additions and help to answer questions. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen.
Melly, can you give them sharing capability, please?
I think I'm there.
Thank you, Melly.
All right, hopefully you all see a presentation that does not have notes and extra pages and stuff all over it. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, we're seeing it, yeah.
All right, so thank you all to the mayor and the council members for inviting us to discuss the first project of the current iteration of the Mount Rainier Arts Commission. So we're proposing a building wrap mural on 3510 Rhode Island Avenue, which houses Station 3510 and the Liberty Church of God. The mural would cover the front and two sides of the building, as well as extending down this, there's this wall here that kind of runs along the street. And you'll see some concept images on the coming slides. The mural's being developed currently in collaboration with Jarrett Hendricks of Station 3510 Studio and Daniel Simon, the property owner. And we plan to reach out to the church prior to announcing an RFQ. We're basing our process and budget on two things. One is previous successful Arts Commission projects because they've paved the way for us, so why reinvent the wheel? And also on Maryland State Arts Council guidance for public art. I've done a lot of work with them, and they have very good way of setting things up to make sure that the process is equitable and community oriented and fair to everybody involved. So we're hoping to identify an artist from the area to complete the mural, since the Arts Commission believes that part of our job is to support the local arts community. And we see this project not only as a chance to beautify our city and build economic viability, but to provide opportunities for local artists. So why Station 3510? This is one of the more prominent buildings on Rhode Island Avenue. You see it marked right here. And it's one of the first that you encounter coming from the north on Rhode Island. So a mural there would have a very big impact. It would be an entry marker for the city, proclaiming that art lives here. The building is already an art space, so a mural would be using arts to highlight one of our arts organizations. And very importantly, both the building owner and the owner of Station 3510 LLC are invested in the process. So we already have a lot of buy-in from that end, which is extremely important. So our proposed timeline, here is one of our concept images. This is an example of what the artwork coverage would look like, not the choice of imagery or style. This is totally a random picture chosen from the internet. But as you see, it covers the side and the front and extends down this wall. So big splash. So for the timeline, the goal is to ensure proper community engagement based on the Maryland State Arts Council guidance, as well as time for reviews, while getting the mural completed this fiscal year. It's not on here, but we do plan to do an informational presentation for the MUTC about the project before we launch it, to make sure they're on board and if they have any considerations. Similar to previous mural projects, we're planning to announce a request for qualifications, and that'll happen in January 2025. This way, artists are applying based on their previous work, and we're not asking somebody to create an entire proposal for free and then denying them. From this call, we'll select 3 finalists, and those 3 will be paid to create proposals. In March, we'll hold public meetings to review the top applications and get insight from the community on what their hopes are for the mural. The goal of these, per the Maryland State Arts Council guidance, is to get what they call the why of the mural from the community, while the artist develops the what, like what it looks like. And then the 3 selected finalists will be notified in March and ask for proposals with a month turnaround. In April, we'll hold another public meeting to review the finalist proposals. In May, we'll recommend a final artist to the City Council, to you all. And based on City Council feedback and the public meeting, we'll give the artist any recommendations for changes. And the mural painting will begin in early June 2025. So like I said, this will be based on a public call. Ideally, we would like the muralist to be a member of the Mount Rainier arts community, but we realize having such a small pool risks not receiving enough quality applications. So we plan to expand eligibility to the DMV area, where there's a thriving public arts community, which should get plenty of competitive applications. We don't think that we need to expand it to a nationwide search. And we will put on the announcement that special consideration will be given to Mount Rainier artists, people who live or work here. So that way there will be an extra enticement for people in the area. And this ensures that the mural's successes are twofold. Both the creation of the mural and the product have an impact on the area. Logistically, we'd like to manage applications through publicartist.org. We've included a budget line for hosting through their site. There's a kind of a way to do it for free, but the paid one has a lot of benefits, and one of the principal ones is the artists don't have to pay to do the original application, which makes less of a barrier for entry and makes more equity in the process, because we're not denying artists based on not feeling up for paying the $25 fee to submit. We're going to take for the announcement, we're going to go all channels. We're going to you see all these things listed here. The standard city announcement places: publicartist.org, East City Art, Gateway CDC. There's a lot of other area arts organizations that we can post through that do public calls. And we're going to tap into the connections that the members of the Arts Commission have made in Mount Rainier and throughout the whole DMV area. And that'll help spread the word more thoroughly than a simple online post could, because we're all artists and art workers who have a lot of contacts in the area, and those contacts have other contacts, and that's the best way to get attention for this sort of thing. All right, on to the budget. So we're basing this budget on the Pennyroyal Station mural because it's a comparable project in both scope and in impact. This is adjusted for inflation since there has been quite a bit of inflation since that mural happened. Doing some research, it looks like the inflation rate since 2021 was 16.5%. So that's what we were working with. The total proposed budget is $20,750. That includes $400 for hosting with publicartist.org that we talked about. Each of 3 finalists would receive a $600 stipend to create a final proposal. And from those, we would pay one person $17,500 to complete the mural, and that would include all materials and everything necessary to make the mural happen. And then there's also $1,050 for preservation and maintenance, which is a standard part of the mural process and has been part of the past 2 murals. And I believe now we're on to questions from you. Here's a, oops, sorry, touched my mouse. Here is another mock-up of what the mural could look like from the other direction, coming from the south. So we'd like to open it up to you all to see what you have to say.
So thank you so much, John, and thank you to Tori, Tesla, Becca, and Tiana for their work as well. And Luke, this is like the Arts Commission was a project that came from your thoughts into paper, and look where we're at now. I love happy stories, as you can tell. With everything that goes in the world, happy stories make me happy and joyful. So Tiana, do you need anything to add, or you're good so far? All right, perfect. All right, so council members, I'm gonna go with Jared.
Could I actually, Celina, ask to cede to Luke first, just for a little bit of.
Oh, because I think Luke's already stated his piece, but Luke, do you want to
No,
have the
okay,
floor
I
again?
just-
Well, I'll say just a couple of things. I'll
Yeah.
say
Just,
Go ahead.
just because he's, yeah.
one, this is an excellent presentation. For those who don't remember the first big mural we did on Penny Royal, there were a couple of really good lessons learned that this team has incorporated into the presentation here. One is getting in front of MUTC early. I think that's a really smart move that makes sure any concerns that they have will be addressed up front. And 2, I think you can see from the cost analysis they put out here, it's reasonable and it makes sense. I'll also remind folks of the budget conversation that we had last year, and that I was promised a budget amendment to support this if I would get that out of the budget. And we should have, see, Mr. Kamali's got it pulled up there that we had that conversation. So to the extent we need to do a budget amendment, I think we can do one through unused staff dollars. But Mr. Kamali was pointing at someone, so maybe there was a line item that he thinks where we could pull this from too. But I think that's a conversation we can push to the next meeting, as long as there might be consensus here for the team to move forward. We can help manage that budget piece of this. Again, I think this is really well thought off. A little feedback for the Arts Commission that I forgot to mention when we were talking about considerations for tonight is I forgot to mention the power washing of the building. That's something that we want to keep in mind that has to get done first. That really helps with the final product being, it really helps.
No, I was just thinking about that today and wondering whose responsibility that should be.
So, we'll
remember not back and
we
forth.
can follow up
Go
with
ahead.
that in our conversations, because I think I'm going to talk to Joe Hicks about how, because I can't forget if the artist did it or if we helped out some way. All right, thank you, Mayor.
For the Penske mural, I know that was power washing and everything else that got the building ready, and it made a big difference. Even just after the power washing, the cleaning the area, that building looked like 1,000 tons differently, 100%. So thank you, Luke, for bringing that information forward. John, anything else to add?
I totally agree. Power washing, I mean, preparing the surface is absolutely necessary, because if you don't clean it, then you're painting dirt instead of painting the wall, and the dirt will fall off eventually and the mural with it. Looking at the previous budgets that we have access to, it seemed like that was built into what the artist was paying, because I didn't see any separate lines for that, but it's possible that just wasn't written down anywhere.
Okay, so can I ask
think
you guys to
that's-
have that conversation separately to line that up? Because I think that might be some of the things where you might have to ask Joe, about the details, to fill in the gap in order to get it to. And I think the city manager was pointing out to the budget because he remembered that. I think we all remember that to get us through where we needed to. So let's figure out what the line item currently is, and if we need to add, do a budget amendment, Luke, Mr. Kamali will add it to us so we could bring it in front. The better, the sooner the better. So we could figure out, so we could move forward. And thank you for having the timeline, so we know where we could fit in the process of requesting funding. Okay, but we should be able to follow through the promise we made to make sure that we carried through. Okay, all right, Jared,
Yep. No, thank you. That was the historical context, both for myself and for the community, and also some of the process pieces that. So, Luke, thank you for that. No, I just wanted to thank the Arts Commission for spending the time putting this together. The slide mock-ups really look fantastic. I really appreciate the work you all have put into this effort. Just say kind of broadly murals, a lot of things Arts Commission has done. Some select murals, the banners, those all have a really fantastic placemaking benefit and sort of signaling and visibility and branding for a town, and relatively small in terms of resource perspective, outsized impact in terms of just impact in our and character and personality for our community. So I just want to thank you for putting this together. Very supportive of the approach, and as Luke mentioned, we'll talk through the process about how we could potentially find a way forward. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Valerie?
Yeah, thank you. I thought this was a very good presentation. I guess the only things I would definitely think through a little bit more is the budget. Artists are hit hard in times of inflation, and making sure that they have enough funding to both support the power washing, the preparation, the design, the actual painting, and the potential upkeep in the future is critical. So just maybe think about that a little bit more and think about what that would look like if we were to get more. And I also think if there are any grants out there that could support this, I think that would be wise for the city to look into as well. I know the timeline's short, but it might make sense to look into that. But I agree with this direction. I think it's a really good project, and for the Arts Commission to be making us, putting an imprint into the city of Mount Rainier like this. I think it's really cool. So thank you for your work, and we'll talk more soon. Thanks.
Perfect. John, let me get to the next councilman, then if they have a question, you can answer them all together. Okay? Thank you. Go ahead, Danielle.
Okay, thank you, Arts Commission, absolutely gorgeous. I'm actually bummed that wasn't the design and color scheme, because I really dig that color scheme. Coming from a city, my hometown is huge art city, and so I am always in favor of doing everything I can to not only support the arts, but specifically local arts. And the more we can build and the more we can paint and create, I think the better. It not only makes the city feel, but makes us look, and it's always nice to be known for something like the artists and the art that we present. I'll support any budget amendment that's going to give you any monies you need to paint anything you need, because like I said, I'll always support the arts as long as it's within reason, and I think $20,000 budget is not outside of reason for something with that capacity. So thank you very much for creating the idea and bringing it to us, and I look forward to more.
Okay, John, go ahead. The floor is yours. Before I say something, you were going to make a comment.
Oh yeah. Well, to Valerie's point, we're happy to pay the artist as much money as you're willing to give us. We definitely believe in paying artists. And in terms of grant opportunities, the Maryland State Arts Council does have public arts grants, but they are complicated, and there's a lot of legwork involved in proving that the process is the process that they need, and it's due in less than a month. So we didn't feel like we had time to put something reasonable together for this year, but we are looking at that and planning for next year to start submitting things to them for other projects, possibly something down on Varnum. So yeah, like that's definitely something that's on our radar.
Right, perfect. Thank you. And that lines up very much with the city, because usually when we have projects, we go after heavily grants in order to maximize, and this was kept us away from having to raise taxes in all these years. Actually, when Luke and I started, was 93 cents per 100 square footage, Luke. And right before they had reduced it, was like 95, and they reduced it to 93. But it's been, and now we're like at 75, Mr. Kamali? Yes? So that tells you where we're at. So,
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so at a certain point, it's like we need to make sure we have heavily gone after grants. I think between the $9 million budget is and the 14 where it lies, the difference is the grants that we've been getting to like make up for not having to increase taxes. So I would say I support the budget, but please be reasonable that we have a lot of expenses. But in saying that, thanks you guys for taking into account, and obviously paying, the artist at first wage and and I think you did mention in your presentation, John, that you guys we're putting a budget together to like look into probably the inflation that happened between one and the other. So, all right. So Luke, you follow up with like, the budget amendment, information from Mr. Kamali and where to put it. And for the arts committee, yeah, if you guys could start putting part of your rotation, what grants the city could potentially go after for the arts, that'd be good. So that way you could submit it to Mr. Kamali, and then between the team and you guys could go ahead and work on, maximizing the money, because we already see in dividends how much difference the art commission has made, even in the art pieces that we currently have in the city. I would say to you that the Maryland Municipal League this year around was focused on the arts. They requested 2 art pieces to be submitted, from public art from the city, and they selected the floating trolley. And they actually displayed in a canvas at the fall conference. So it was very beautiful to see one of our pieces of public art being displayed for everybody else to enjoy it. The public, so I was given that piece, and is currently in my tiny little office in the back on it, and it'll be like moved, but it's like a little tiny square that they made for every single municipality that submitted an art piece. So it was beautiful to know that we as Mount Rainier could submit it, an art piece for it to be featured as part of who we are as Mount Rainier. So that tells you how like the impact of our art is not just, hitting here locally, but also extends beyond the borders of our city and highlighting who we are as a city. So we thank you guys for all the work that you guys been doing. And I look forward to hearing more and going through the process. And I'm sure it's going to be beautiful, especially in Rhode Island. We've been doing a lot of work in the area and looking forward to whatever plans is coming along. So thank you guys so much. All right. Diana, say hello to my little tiny friend who I don't see in the screen anymore. All right. Okay. Take care. Have a good night. All right. Millie's like, done. All right. Thank you, Cesla, as well. All right. So moving on to the next item. Item number 7, presentation and discussion on 2025 WMATA bus network plan changes. This is going to be headed by Councilmember Stolfus. We'll present the 2025 WMATA bus network plan changes to Mayor and Council. And Jared, thank you so much for taking lead on this. I know this is your area of expertise, but you have done a lot of heavy lifting to make sure we're up to date, submitting letters and making sure we're informing our residents. So thank you for that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I will promise I'll go quickly. So folks, I'm just going to give a quick update on WMATA's Better Bus Initiative, or what is basically the redesign of the region's entire bus network. WMATA is the actual official name for what most people colloquially call Metro. And so starting about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, Metro started a process for the first time in decades of redesigning its entire bus network, which, as most folks know, is actually complements the rail network. Actually carries right now about as many people as the entire Metro rail system as well. So it's a really critical piece of mobility for us in the region, and especially in Mount Rainier, where 80% of folks in our city are apartment dwelling, and many in a lot of the apartments north of town, on average, about 30% or 40% of households are carless. So it's mobility and public transportation are really critical. So in earlier this year, Metro released the results of the network redesign they've carried out over the past year. The Metro Board is going to approve these changes this fall, actually later this month, and implementation will be in early spring, summer 2025. So I'm just, the purpose of this presentation, really quick, just to go through what's going to happen and what that means for our city. So just this slide was just kind of going through the process from 2022 to a visioning of a network outreach last year, and then adoption and implementation starting adoption next of this month and implementation next year. Next slide. And just one for context, Metro was doing a lot of this with a lot of the same resources. So there's some improvements. They also often mean some consolidations, more frequent, more consistent service, but less frequent during rush hours. Sometimes routes may have gone away where instead of having 6 routes that run every hour, you have 3 routes that cover much the same area, but are more frequent. And so forth. Next slide. So I just want to highlight this again. Transit is really critical for this city. It's a very dense city. It's a very working class city. In some parts of our city, as I mentioned, transit dependence is over 40% of households. For a lot of folks in the historic core here, many folks have cars, but many folks in our cities, both in single family houses and in the apartments, actually don't. So I'm going to go over just kind of route by route really quickly, but we provided feedback in both 2023 and 2024. Those were incorporated in the 2025 plans. And the quick version of this is the G8, which is now going to be renamed the D34. Right now, it kind of comes from DC, from Brooklyn, goes up Eastern Avenue and stops at Kaywood Gardens. Now it's going to be going all the way to the West Hyattsville Metro. So if you're coming to or from the West Hyattsville Metro, you live anywhere on the west side of the city, you just walk Eastern Avenue, and then you basically take the bus all the way to West Hyattsville. Right now, there's no way to get there at all quickly besides walking about, depending on where you're in the city, 10 to 25 minutes. Secondly, the B2, that's the bus line that goes, now it's going to be called the C41. That goes all the way down Bladensburg, from Mount Rainier down Bladensburg Road, Capitol Hill, and ends at Anacostia Metro Station on the Green Line. That one is also going to connect all the way to the West Hyattsville Metro. And then finally, increased and simplified service on Rhode Island Avenue. So here's just a really quick, so Metro is also renaming every single bus line. A lot of the numbering and letters were holdovers from actually 60, 70 plus years ago when it was a privately run system. So now all the routes are getting renamed. P if it's Prince George's, C if it's in D if they're in the district, M in Montgomery County. So there'll be a slightly new map with somewhat changed routes. Next slide. Just a little bit of a closer shot showing the routes that are going through our community. You can see, again, service on Eastern Avenue, up 38th Street. That's where C41 and P43 are. And then, again, consistently high levels of service along Rhode Island. Next slide. So new route. This route's going to go from replaces a couple of the 80s buses. There's going to be a continuous route running all the way from IKEA down Route 1. All the way down to Rhode Island Avenue Metro Station. So again, if you patronize a Route 1 corridor, now there's a bus consistently running up and down until midnight instead of inconsistently every 30 minutes or forking off all over the place like the current ones currently do. So one continuous and high frequency service. Same thing, there's also another bus that parallels Rhode Island, but it'll touch Hyattsville Crossing and College Park as well. And then the T18, that's the one that runs to New Carrollton. Again, consistently will continue to serve Mount Rainier and then go through Bladensburg, Landover Hills, and New Carrollton as well. The D34, this is what is now the G8. So this one's really, I think this is actually one of the most exciting pieces because again, we have a metro station that's just a little bit too far to walk, but is relatively close. And you may not want to walk at night or when it's raining. So this line, instead of ending at Kaywood Gardens, is going to go all the way to the West Hyattsville Metro. Huge if you're in the apartments. In Kaywood, you're walking a mile to the Metro. Now you got a bus coming every 15 minutes. That bus is going to continue running. If you go the other way, continue running at a 1-seat ride to downtown. P42, this is the old F1 and the old F1. Basically, it's going to continue to go by our city and connect from Tacoma to Fort Lincoln to New Carrollton. And then lastly, is C41. This is the B2 bus. Instead of ending in Mount Rainier, it's going to actually continue to go on to up 38th Street, over on Hamilton, and then West Hyattsville. So if you're on the western side of the city, you can take the G8 all the way to West Hyattsville Metro. If you're elsewhere in the city, along Rhode Island Avenue or in Brentwood, or on the south side of Mount Rainier, you can grab this bus and have it take you to the West Hyattsville. So that bus used to end at Mount Rainier, and now it continues all the way through. The other reason I want to flag this bus change, and this is a discussion for a later time, but we've talked about WMATA has control of several bus bays in our downtown, and one of the challenges has been for doing things in our in our downtown has been that the continual use of those bus bays, because all the buses turn around there, and when they end their route, you'll wait. Driver waits until the next part of the route starts. Because many of these lines are now continuing through instead of ending in our downtown, that may open an opportunity to restart a conversation with Metro about reclaiming possibly at least one, maybe two, I don't know, some of the bus bays in the downtown because of these service changes. So I think it's something, besides all the benefits of good transit service, these routes going through actually does maybe reopen a conversation about pulling back some of those bus bays. I know we've talked about kind of building a civic green or, reclaiming some of that space in front of our city hall. So just something I want to flag, not for discussion now, but something to keep on our radar and engage with Metro at the right time. And last thing, I did not change, sorry, this slide, that second line should have gone off, but you can go look and provide feedback if you want to at betterbus.wmata.com. And that is it.
Thank you so much. The wonderful thing is the majority of things that we requested in our letters, because we've been at this for a couple of years, have been implemented, and it's going to be life-changing for our residents, because now, like mentioned, instead of walking the extra mile at different times, that bus will take them all the way to the station. They also hopefully encourage other people. That also encourage other people to take transit, now that some of those barriers are going to be lifted when it goes how far they could be connected now. So it's in multiple ways how it could benefit us. All right, Council, do you guys have any question for Councilmember Stolfus? If you do, let me know. If not, we're going to move on to the next item. All right, seeing that there is.
I got one.
Julie, you have one?
Yeah. Sorry.
Of course you do. No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate Jarrett, and I love all these changes. Do you have a sense of timing for when we can engage WMATA on the conversation of what to do with the bus bays?
Yeah, I think, sorry, was that the only question, Luke?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the board, Metro WMATA board is supposed to make those approvals or approve the changes to be implemented. I think it should be this month. It may get pushed the next month. I think once those changes go forward, I think then we should start a conversation. So I would say, wait for the outcome of the board meeting just to make sure these are going forward.
Okay.
And then I think we can engage in maybe like January or something like that. That's a longer term discussion, right? But I think we should, move forward the earlier we can.
Yeah.
The last thing I just want to say, I want to echo Celina's point, both with this and with, the interactions we've had with other regional agencies like DDOT on Eastern Avenue. When we have So our relationships matter. The relationships we built with our regional agencies and neighboring jurisdictions really matter. And when we provide constructive, thoughtful feedback, it gets taken, it gets adopted, right? So like, I just want to, again, highlight the importance of really building good relationships, building, having constructive and thoughtful and, measured dialogue, even if it's agencies that you don't control or, or even in a different state, it really makes a difference. So I just want to thank folks on council and city staff and residents for supporting the stuff that we're doing here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Chair. Celina, I have one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's for Mr. Kamali. If you noticed in the new bus routes, there's no longer bus routes going through the city anywhere. So when we think of our street redesign and we're working with tool design, once we get the go ahead to do that, that opens up the potential for being a little bit more aggressive with our traffic calming devices for Rainier Avenue, where it kind of cuts through and what we can do there. And so I think that's really good news for us. And so I think we can, be mindful of that as we look for traffic calming around the city.
So I was gonna say yes for the buses, but do remember our trash trucks and everything else will have to go through there. So just don't get too aggressive where we cannot like move our trucks, because those things are pretty big and now they're going 3 times a week, right? Last thing I need is for my compost bottle to be there because we don't fit. I will cry. But okay, so perfect. Thank you for the feedback. I'm looking for the questions. Jerry, also for what's going on. And Mr. Kamali, if you can put it potentially in the rolling agenda or in a place where it comes to the conversation for WMATA, because one of the goals that I would like in my lifetime to accomplish is turn a lot of green space in front of City Hall. I'll be willing to give my parking space away to get all that area green and block some of the street, as some people would like to as well, so that we have at least an added park in the south side of the city and more green. And I know our city is very green happy, so that would potentially give us the extra parking space that we need that we don't currently have. And with that, many buses coming through, as many trees as we could plant and green around, is definitely very beneficial for all of us and in tune with our, green vision, right? So I'll be willing to do so much for that, right? But not enough. Okay, so perfect, guys. Thank you so much for this. Moving on to the next item. Item number 8. You're gonna have to move the agenda up, Millie, because I'm gonna go blind if you continue. There you go. Proclamation declaring November as Municipal Government Works Month. This is reclaiming it because it's already there. So we just read it as of one of the many requirements in order for us to obtain Banner City. Banner City is one of the highest reward certifications or accolades that you get in the state for being a municipality. That means that you have utilized every single ounce that you can when it comes to our Maryland Municipal League, but also highlighting the services that we provide. Why is it that being part, like living in a municipality, is important in comparison to being unincorporated? We know the benefits our residents do get being part of a municipality. So during the month of November, you will see a lot of posts with Municipal Month Works, right? That the staff puts together, highlighting the work that our staff does, the progress that we have, and so on and so on. And is actually being done by about 157. And right now, I'm actually the vice co-chair of that committee for the Maryland Municipal League. So there's about 90 cities statewide right now that are still in the running for obtaining the Banner City certification, and we have done pretty good. We lost it for 2 years, and me and Mayor Miles worked really hard to get it, and we got it. And I done every effort to make sure that we do not lose it. And I know me and Melly work on gathering all the information and dotting all of our dots to make sure we follow through. So Valerie, I'm gonna ask you to read the proclamation, reread it, so that way, but declaring on November has been declared. You guys we need to officially read it, so that way is to bring awareness to the community. So Valerie, can you go ahead and read it, please?
Yep. Declaring November as Municipal Government Works Month, whereas the city of Mount Rainier is one of 157 Maryland municipalities, and whereas municipal government represents the most responsible level of government, allowing the residents to have direct access to their elected official, and whereas municipalities enhance the quality of life for their residents by providing various services tailored to their particular need and desires of the community. And whereas the city of Mount Rainier maintains municipal facilities, streets, sidewalks, parks, nature areas, collects refuse and recycling, collects snow and leaves, manages stormwater facilities, protects tenants through rent stabilization and other laws, provides recreation classes and program, maintains a full-service municipal library and a full-service police department. And whereas in an effort to educate residents about municipal government and the importance of active and informed participation by residents, the city of Mount Rainier is proud to promote municipal government awareness. And whereas municipalities help to make Maryland a great place to live, work, play, and explore. And now, therefore, I, Celina Benitez, Mayor of Mount Rainier, Maryland, do hereby proclaim November as Municipal Government Works Month, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens.
So Val, the last paragraph, I usually will read it because it's weird when you say I. Hi,
Right.
Celina. All right, so it's signed, it is there. It's been proclaimed Municipal Government Works Month, November for forever and a day. So it is gonna go under the proclamations, and happy you guys listen to this wonderful thing. But that's the reason why also if you go to our city hall, the Municipal Government Works flag is flying. It'll be flying for the whole entire month of November as well. And we'll be highlighting the various things that our staff members do to create this a better place for all of us to work, and why municipalities are important for the state and our residents. All right, cool. All right, moving on to the next one. Item number 9, proclamation recognition Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. We'll present a proclamation. We basically will read it because it's already been proclaimed. So as you guys are aware, both of our elementaries, Mount Rainier Elementary, who led the efforts last year, and Thomas Stone Elementary, who also joined and got a grant for the Ruby Bridges Walk. Have both of them participated this year, and is very reassuring to see that we collectively work with them. I know I work with them in the city. We create a proclamation, and this proclamation is potentially is being worked to be used as a document that we submitted in behalf of Delegate Fennell to the delegation of Maryland, to proclaim Ruby Bridges Walking Day on November 14th. So little, I think sometimes like people think like things that we do in our city, for small as they may seem, they have big impact, not just for us as a city, but also statewide. So I did, I'll be working with the PTOs and Delegate Fennell in order to make sure I go testified when it's needed, in supporting this day to be recognized. So the proclamation Valerie will read to you guys is going to tell you a little bit about who Ruby Bridges was and why is it important to recognize the effort, and how her efforts were connected to somebody that is very important in the history of the state of Maryland. And you might recognize that name, who worked for the WNCP and went on to be like, a leader when it comes to inclusion and everything else. So without any ado, go ahead and if you could please read the proclamation, just stop in the last paragraph, please, Valerie.
Okay. Proclamation in recognition of Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, proclaiming November 14th as Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day in the city of Mount Rainier. Whereas on November 14, 1960, 6-year-old Ruby Bridges walked to the formerly all-white William Frantz Elementary School in New Orleans, Louisiana, and integrated into the first elementary school into the South. And whereas the United States Marshals had to escort young Ruby Bridges and her mother to school every day, where a crowd of people who did not want her at the school yelled at her. And whereas as soon as Ruby Bridges entered the school, white parents pulled their own children out, and all the teachers except one refused to teach while an African-American child was enrolled in the school. And whereas Miss Barbara Henry was the only teacher that would teach Ruby Bridges, and for the entire year, Miss Henry taught Ruby Bridges alone in the classroom. And whereas despite threats and protests, the Bridges family was determined to keep sending Ruby to school and did not miss a single day of class that year. And whereas Ruby Bridges bravery inspired America and paved the way for other African-American children across the country. And whereas Ruby Bridges went on to graduate from a desegregated high school, marry and raise a family, and have a successful career. And whereas Ruby Bridges also wrote 2 books about her experiences as a child, and she received the Carter G. Woodson Book Award for her work. And whereas Mendez v. Westminster School District of Orange County, 1946, is an historic court case on racial segregation in the California public school system. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that it was unconstitutional and unlawful to forcefully segregate Mexican American students by focusing on Mexican ancestry, skin color, and the Spanish language. This case forged a foundation for upholding the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, thereby strengthening the landmark Supreme Court ruling in Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, which found racial segregation in public schools unconstitutional. And whereas National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, filed amicus, friend of the court briefs. Writing for the NAACP was Thurgood Marshall, who 5 years later used similar reasoning for the Supreme Court in Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka. The Supreme Court adopted many of Marshall's arguments and in 1954 issued an opinion declaring that separating children in public schools on the basis of race was unconstitutional. The opinion was written by Chief Justice Earl Warren. And whereas in 1954, Ruby Bridges was born and the United States Supreme Court issued the landmark ruling, Brown v. Board of Education, ordering the desegregation of schools. And whereas in 1999, Ruby Bridges established the Ruby Bridges Foundation to promote tolerance and create change through education. The Ruby Bridges Foundation supports schools across the country in their celebrations of Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day on November 14th each year, with more than 650,000 participants in 2023. And whereas in Prince George's County and other Maryland communities, the struggle to successfully integrate public schools continued into the 1970s and beyond. And whereas the story of Ruby Bridges is an important continuation of Maryland native Thurgood Marshall's legacy and his work on Brown v. Board of Education to make quality, equal education available to everyone. And whereas the city of Mount Rainier is committed to continuing our work to become a more inclusive city in which all the community, past, present, and future, are treated equally with dignity and respect. And whereas both Mount Rainier Elementary School and Thomas S. Stone Elementary School, the city of Mount Rainier's 2 neighborhood public schools, are proud participants in Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day and longtime champions of walkability and equality.
Now therefore be it resolved, I, Celina Benitez, Mayor of the City of Mount Rainier, do hereby proclaim November 14 as Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day in the city of Mount Rainier, and every year from today on, and on those years when November 14 falls on a Saturday or Sunday, Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day will be celebrated on the following Wednesday. I urge all of the citizens to join in celebrating the rich history and culture of Ruby Bridges' story. So you guys get to learn a little bit about Ruby Bridges. The beautiful thing is that both schools heavily are teaching. They're reading the books, they're doing the walking, they're doing the colors and everything else. I do want to extend my big thank you to Valerie Woodall for making sure she represent me because I was out of state doing legislative work. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And as much as I try to be everywhere, it's very limited what I can do. A big thank you also to the PTO's president, Tim and Kamika from Mount Rainier Elementary Thomas Stone, for making sure at all times it is 2 different schools, but also one community. And that has been very important. Also, I know our police department, Jared, Danielle, were also there. Our police department also was reading books. Thank you for that as well. But in doing that, I will say to you that I love when the schools and the municipalities work together. The other thing to point out, that proclamation was passed 2 days after the election. So when I say we're continue working together and making sure that we step up for what we believe as a city, this is an example of what that looks like. We'll continue fighting on, and making sure that at all times the work that we do resonates not just in the city, but outside. Various schools in the state have decided to join as well, the Ruby Bridges. If you saw correctly, hundreds of thousands of kids do participate as well as adults. So thank you to the administrative staff and the teachers and principals for both schools who are beyond supportive of this wonderful effort as well as we continue to enhance in the values of the city of Mount Rainier when it comes to walkability and visibility and standing up for human rights and acceptance and everything that's wonderful. All right. Moving on to presentations of minutes. The city clerk will present the following minutes to Mayor and Council: October 15, work session of 2024, and October 29, 2024 legislative meeting. These minutes will be moved forward for us to vote in the December meeting. Melly, thank you so much for making sure that you and your team follow through to getting this stuff and done. And moving on to item number 11, adjournment. Can I have a motion from to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Seconded.
Strong move and second. Any objections? Abstentions? Hearing none. This meeting has come to an end. And a reminder, on Thursday, we're giving the food baskets distribution. Please come and pick up your basket if you haven't. The city has the link. I have the link. Put it out there and sign up for it. Okay. And Council, thank you so much for everything you do. And of course, our wonderful team as well, and all of our wonderful volunteers. All right. Have a great night. And I need to go rest my voice because I've been having nonstop meetings in the last 2 weeks. It's been a lot, but we're here collectively working for the city and making sure that our voices are heard in every single level. Okay. Well, have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, staff.
Thanks, everyone.